Hello, beloved. It's me, Robin. Robin Hallett, intuitive healer and light sparkler at robinhallett.com. And this is Tea with Robin. On today's episode, Happy New Year 2021. Let's have a little intention setting and collective choice about where in the heck we expect ourselves to be going now. Our inspiration, I'll share what has been inspiring me lately, and we'll have a beautiful letter from a friend who I think we're all going to relate to, wondering about what to do with the relationship challenges that we're facing now. Because, hi, you know what's going on in the world, and it can be a challenge to feel connected with the people around you, especially when there are opposing views. So let's dive in. Come grab a cup of yum yum and meet me here. Well, hello gorgeous. It's me, Robin. Welcome back to the podcast, Tea with Robin. This is episode 120. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new around these parts, if this is the first time you're listening, welcome aboard. I'm Robin, an intuitive healer in private practice for the last 20 years. Don't go there, girlfriend. It's been a long time. And this podcast is about living the life you were born to live. And we talk about things that are important on the journey for spiritual peeps like us, what we face, what we go through, how to deal with the peeps in our lives, all kinds of good stuff. So I hope you'll stick around, and please thank whoever got you here. I thank you so much for that. Thank you. Friends returning, how have you been? Did you miss me? It's been a while since we've been together. I enjoyed a nice holiday break. That was such a good idea. I'm really, really glad I did that. Probably talk about that some coming up. But let's talk about you. Did you have a nice holiday? Did you have a nice New Year's? How are you doing? I say that as all these dump trucks just drove by. I tell you what, dump trucks and garbage trucks. We've been going through some stuff, I know. It's been a wild time. The 3 weeks I was away, I watched a lot of things happening in the world, so I know you're probably not in a time where you're doing cartwheels down the hallway every day, but you know what? It's still a choice, how we choose to roll in our day. So I hope that the weather in your heart is good, that you're practicing, choosing to be loving and kind with yourself. And, you know, if the weather in your heart is not good, that's fine. I really hope it's okay if you're not feeling great, that you can surround yourself with love. Here comes the garbage truck again. Take out the trash, so to speak. You know, don't push yourself. Don't be mean. Be gentle. Be kind. And love yourself. Yeah. Exactly where you are. I really hope that is how it is for you. Over here, it's a beautiful snowy morning here in Chicago. The sun is out, and I'm feeling a deep level of contentment that it feels kind of new. You know, I've probably been working towards this place for a while, but it feels kind of new right now. Feeling very content with the things I'm doing and how I am, and satisfied, satisfied. I've talked to you over the last many episodes about acceptance, accepting what is so you can go beyond. And that is the journey I've been on, accepting how it is now, really giving myself permission to acknowledge my upset, acknowledge my grief, and acknowledge my sadness. Hi, just turn on the news if you're wondering what I'm talking about, and how that impacts my personal life. You had hopes and dreams and wishes before this pandemic began. So did I. And, the longer it goes on, the longer it continues, I feel it was inevitable that I was going to come to a place of deep grief, and I am through that place now. I feel like I'm through that place, and it is sweet. I'm feeling very satisfied right now. So I say we raise a cup of yum yum together. Did you bring something yummy? I made a big thermos because I'm working today. It's black tea. It's a little gingerbread tea. It's a little cloves, cinnamon, stevia. I mixed a whole bunch of things in the Bodum. It's very good. You know, the coffee press that you use for tea? Yeah. So I raise my cup to us, to this journey, to the choices we're going to make, to any parts of us feeling like, oh my God, we're still here. You know what I mean? It's still the pandemic, people. It's still the crazy politics. All of that. It's still my life. It still didn't magically cure itself when the new year rang in, you know. Let's raise our cup to everything and to just how good it is right now, too. How sweet it is. Cheers. I better pour more in here right now. So, I've probably made, in the 3 weeks I was away, was it 3 weeks? I'm looking back. Episode 119, December 21st. Yeah. So these last 3 weeks I've been away, I have made so many notes. Topics and stuff I want to talk to you about in the coming year. And I always welcome your suggestions and requests as well. You have my email address, don't you? It's hello@robinhallett.com. And it's also here in the episode description as well. I love to hear things you're interested in hearing about as well. So, here we go. Happy 2021. I don't know about you, but I was very excited for 2021 to get here for obvious reasons. It's wild to realize, like, never in my life have I been more excited for a year to be done than this one. And also, it's such a bittersweet thing to acknowledge, you know? Yeah, I wonder how you were feeling about the new year and just ready. Were you ready for a new experience? And was there a little part of you that, I mean, this part is alive in me that just thought when the clocks turned to 2021, whatever, it's not a clock. You know what I mean? Like things would be magically better. There's a part of me that is so ready for that, like for things to be clicking along in the better category, you know? It's a good thing to recognize in myself. And if you have this too, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to acknowledge it because this is how, when we begin to accept things that we're feeling, we can start to address what we should be doing from here to help ourselves, like address the guidance our own system is giving us. So, yes, if you've had a lot of resistance and you want this thing, you know, you keep noticing like, oh, I just want this thing to be done, to go away, to be whatever, you know, give yourself the biggest hug, and many of us are walking with you. Yeah, I really wanted this to be a new experience in 2021, and so it is. And this is what I am deciding. It's going to be new because now is always new. And so if I can, you know, let go of my resistance to how life is now, which is, I know, a big order, a big, tall order. But if I can let go of resisting how life is now, and I can embrace how it is, then I can start to define how I want it to be going forward. Right? I mean, that just is probably very obvious and simple for a lot of you, but it's so freaking profound. For me, every time I remember this, every time I feel that itchy, resistant, tired of this situation feeling, and then I remember my practice that this can be a new moment. All I need to do is accept how I'm feeling. It's okay. All of how we're feeling is okay. Accept it. Then I can open up a new possibility for me in the next moment. That's how we're going to shift it. I didn't say we have to like it. That's a common objection a lot of us have. I don't want to accept this reality. The highest point is you want to feel good, correct? You want to feel hopeful, correct? You want to feel like you're okay. Is that right? You want to feel like it's good in your heart. It's good in your day, right? Maybe even like you're making a difference for someone else. So that's the highest point. That's really what you're most interested in. And so accepting the reality of what's going on right now means you're not going to keep Groundhog Daying your experience. You're going to call it like you see it, and that's going to release something from your energy field. So you don't need to keep, like that record won't keep skipping in your heart. You have to make the leap. You have to keep making that choice. Keep making that choice as new things come that feel scary or frustrating, or people you know call you and tell you their stuff, or, the political things. Half the country is into one guy and half the country is into someone else. It can be really challenging when one of you is into one candidate and one of you is into another candidate, and you're very passionate about that. But we can do this. We can totally do this. And the thing is, now is new. This can be a new experience for you. It all comes down to a choice. What do you choose? Peace or anarchy? Love or fear? Hopelessness or joy? And if it's what I'm guessing it is, like joy or strength, strength, stamina, can you work within the parameters of what's going on right now? Because a lot of people keep saying, I reject what's happening. And you can't reject it. It's like the mind can only hold this is a good experience or this is a not good experience. You can't have some and some. I hope I'm making sense here. So we're doing extraordinary things when we're choosing in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a cuckoo political, I just don't even know what to call it, and homeschooling, lockdown, self-quarantine, etc., etc. So what are we doing here? What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? For me, I feel like the name of the game is you must decide. Everything I'm saying, you have to decide. Do you want to feel good? Do you want to feel energized? Do you want to be happy is such a loaded word, but like content and peaceful for your children or your students or you know what I'm saying? Do you want to be somebody who contributes something in energetically speaking, that uplifts and helps? I'm guessing you do because you're here. Then you make this choice. And you're allowed to process your feelings. You're allowed to complain. You're allowed to get it out. You're allowed to be productive with your upset. Like do some art, do some journaling. I love clomping in the snow when I'm upset. Clomp in the snow, or whatever you like to do. You're allowed to express it. The problem is when we continue to fold it into the batter of every single day. When we're just itching for an opportunity to bitch again about what's going on, to complain, to feel sorry for ourselves, which, all of these things happen to me as well. To have a reason to be sour. There's something to it where it's like, why, when you really are sitting with your journey, I do this, why did I choose to say that? Why did I choose to, look at it that way? I want to feel better inside myself. That's me anyway. I want to feel better. I want to feel encouraged. I want to feel inspired. I want to trust in this time. I want to trust that we are being guided and held, and something on the other side of this is, after the transformation we're going through, is going to be even better than we can imagine. That's everything that's coming to me intuitively. That's what it is. And we have to do our work. We have to do our work. Or maybe I should say we have to make our choice. It's up to us to make the choice for what we really, really want. And it does feel like work sometimes, doesn't it? It's always surprising. How does this happen to you where you go down in despair? You go down in the depths. You hear something or somebody starts talking on a topic and you just go down. Some people get very angry or ragey. I go down. I get anxious or afraid. That's more my mode. So convert it to your own thing that you do. And then something reminds you that you have freedom, and you have, freedom to choose your thoughts and free will. And, sometimes even if you don't know how to stop feeling like crap or feeling afraid, that reminder that there is freedom, it gives you hope. So yeah, it's super profound for me, super duper profound for me. I really believe this is not our apocalypse. But when you're in 10, 11, 12 months of it, when you're going back on lockdown again, I know my friends in the UK, it's been kind of intense, and us too. Schools are not reopening, and you know what I'm saying. Things happen. And you can feel like it's the apocalypse again. You can get scared because it's taking too long. But this is why, we need to hold on. We need to hold on and make the collective choice that even in quarantine, even in the most limiting feeling situation, we can still practice choosing. Abraham Hicks. Do you know Abraham Hicks talks about the high-flying disc? I talk about it in a different way. Get up in the morning and sit with yourself, hug yourself, and sit with your energy. And call to you, whether it's a memory, whether it's a imaginal experience, call to you a feeling you want to be feeling. I'm amazed sometimes at how I'll be talking to a friend in a healing session, and, they'll be so sure of how screwed everything is, how horrible it is. And for a lot of us, this has been a big coming out Look at me stammering through it. 2020 has been one of the worst years for a lot of us, for obvious reasons, but also the not obvious ones of our personal stuff is coming for clearing, for healing. And some of us have resisted that stuff and not done the excavation work, so to speak, not done the release work, because let's face it, it's just been icky and we don't like icky, which I get it. But sometimes I'm listening to people and it's like, they're basically just affirming that they're forked again and again and again and again. And it's always an interesting practice to love people where they're at, to appreciate their journey, appreciate their experience, and also offer a hand across that gap and say, you can come with me. We can go to a new space. And we're not going to blow any smoke up your butt. We're not going to make you say stupid things that you feel like a ding-dong saying it. Do you know what I mean? Like ridiculous things that don't feel right for you. But what I love is, why not? Why can't we be excited about the day we're in today and the tasks we have before us today? Maybe you're going to, maybe the reality is a lot of us have lost jobs. Maybe the reality is money is a scary thing right now. And so we have some choices before us. Either we can tell the story all day long and be in fear, and I guarantee it will continue to deepen. The fear will continue to build and build and build. And because we're dynamic manifestors, meaning what we think expands, we create based on thought. I mean, just think about this. When you've heard somebody look at somebody else and say, he looks like a nice person, that's a thought and a belief and then a projection. So that's what I'm saying. You're deciding, and then you're calling in the feelings, and then you're creating the reality around that. So you could take a simple day. You're all home together on lockdown, everybody's homeschooling, whatever. You're working from home. Some of you aren't working. You could spend that day freaking out, and a lot of us do. Or you can spend that day being excited about what you're doing. And there is a lot to be excited about. Now feel free to use a different word. I'm going to say excited. I like to feel lit up or uplifted or eager or just in that creative flow. And it feels like that's our practice. I don't want to keep calling it work, but that's our practice right now, is to really know how you want to feel. You don't have to know what your purpose is. You don't have to know what the hell the pandemic is supposed to be about on a spiritual level or any of that. It's okay, but don't you feel like you want to be in control of how you feel, the vibes in your day, and the direction you're choosing? I do. So make your choice. Get up in the morning and hug yourself and make that practice of choosing that vibe you want to be feeling. Sit there for a bit. See if you can't generate some energy for yourself. And, you can even send this out to your family, to your children, to your parents, to your partner. If you want to create something different for yourself, this is the time. Once you're feeling that cozy, yummy, excited, contented, whatever you want to call it, feeling, you can call this energy to you in an imaginal way. What would you love to be feeling like? Create your vision there, and you will be inspired, even if it's an art project for the day. Here, it's Saturday today. I worked this morning. I got up this morning and I did the same thing. I imagined the flow of the day. I imagined being in my joy. I quickly began to feel a sense of like butterflies in my belly when I just start to say, thank you for this day. Thank you for this most amazing day, magnificent day. You know that E. E. Cummings poem? I thank you, God. I should pull this poem up and read it to you, shouldn't I? Yes, I should. Let's see. I keep a folder in Evernote of poetry I love. I love to tell you I have a fancy journal, but I have an Evernote document. I have an Evernote notebook. Let's see what comes up here. I thank you, God, for this most amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue, true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings, and of the gay, great happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any lifted from the no of all, nothing, human, merely being, doubt, unimaginable, you. Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Wowzy wow. So beautiful. That's one to study, I tell you. Every day we can practice being in a place of gratitude for this most amazing day. Finding something to be organized around, even if it's seemingly so small. It's a portal. Everything's an opening, it's maybe you look out and see a cloud, or the way the sun is rising, or you take a walk and somebody waves to you. You wave, you give each other the nod. Hi, we're in a pandemic and we're out moving our body out in the fresh air. Hello. I see you, There's things like that, or you see this little squirrel or a dog, or something happens. It seems so tiny, but you find yourself, I thank you, God, for this most amazing day. These are miracles that visit you because you choose to help yourself. Do you choose to practice? I tell you what, you matter, you're precious, and your needs matter. And if you need to take space, if you need solitude, more solitude, if you need, what your needs are right now are very, very important. If something's occurring to you again and again, make sure you give that to yourself. Okay? We will keep talking about these collective energies and the choices we're making. We will keep talking about this. For now, I think that's pretty good for today. I hope something in here felt super helpful to you. And just to know, you're not alone. We're never the only ones going through this. And so much love is around us. Assistance is around us. This might not be a hunky-dory time, but it is a productive time, as Paul Selig and the guides would say. There's a lot shifting and changing. So hang in there with me. I hope you will. And let's enjoy what we can, the sweet things that we can. Cheers. So, speaking of the sweet things, inspiration today. I wanted to share a few things I've been really enjoying here at home on my break over the holidays, and taking particular note of how it has, what I'm doing lifts me, keeps me feeling excited and alive while on lockdown, unable to go anywhere or be with my friends. You know what I mean? Like, how do you stay inspired? Here in the States, everything going on, politically speaking, what happened at the Capitol building this week. I've had messages, people asking my help or my opinion or some advice. And, also I should say, convert what I'm saying, because if it's not your issue, I feel like we all have an issue, right? You have an issue. Convert what I'm saying to your issue. So this upset, this thing going on, this thing outside your control, maybe it was the politics, maybe it is the new increased lockdown stuff that's happening, whatever it is. When you really put your focus there, when you're really aware of it, when you're really taking it in, when you're really spinning in your mind about it, it can leave you in a place of feeling really down. The despair can enter. When you think about it long enough, it begins to activate parts of you that are no longer about the Capitol, let's say, what happened at the Capitol, but about what happened in your own life and the way things went down. So energies get stirred up, and we're seeing lots of that. Lots of, you may know people who are just feeling those effects from really feeling down about the state of things. And it's important, that might be going on, but it's important to take care of your vibes, right? It's important to tend to your vibes, just like you got to brush your teeth and still take a shower, even though whatever's going on in the world, right? I could probably do a bunch of episodes on this thing I'm about to say, actually, but it's not right if you give up your joy out of guilt because something in the world is happening. And that goes, I know how difficult this is, having a husband with cancer, and also woot woot is healed and clear now. Having a mom who had a stroke and was in ICU and eventually died, and this was a very long-term illness. That's where I'm drawing some of my own courage to say this to you. It serves no one to give up on your inspiration, joy, ease, peace, your needs, even your needs like brushing teeth, napping, and sleeping. It serves no one if you sort of like give preferential treatment to what is going on. You have to take care of you. And how we get through this time is by keeping our vibes in a place of alignment. I mean, for me as the light worker, I feel like everything that's happening serves the whole. So much of what's happening is because we are separate from one another. We've forgotten about God. We've forgotten about the light, and all the division is really evidence of that. And so the more of us that can stay in a place of I'm not talking about Pollyanna, or pretending nothing's wrong, or, I'm talking about staying in a place where your vibration contributes something to the whole instead of continuing the persistence of shadow energy. So, yeah, you gotta do things that light you up. Yeah. So I've been enjoying, I go right to watching TV, of course. I've been enjoying watching a few Netflix series. They're cooking documentary-based series, and they feature women from around the world. And the two shows I've been loving. One is called The Taco Chronicles on Netflix, and the other one is Chef's Table. Inspiring stories about women who have faced a lot of challenges like you and me. For me right now, it's been super inspiring to see how other women are navigating the world in their way. How did they build? How did they create? How did they fall in love with? How did this all happen for them? What were their stories? And I particularly enjoy, I guess memoir is kind of my genre if I were to read books. And so this documentary style show is so cool. But I particularly enjoy when they run into hardship, how they talk about how they ended up rising, rising up from that. And that's where particularly I feel called, this intersection of your personal journey and what the hell is happening in the world, and how that can really be difficult sometimes because the inner affects the outer, just like the outer affects the inner. And so you want to keep, I'm sounding so bossy, aren't I? A certain level of energetic hygiene, I feel right now. It's very easy to go down the tubes, obviously, go down in your upset. So what are the things that keep you excited and alive and feeling curious and resilient and hopeful about what's happening in the world? Inspired. And this is an interesting thing too. I think if you're in the healing field or a light worker or you're a creative type, as so many of you are, that's us in the Love Posse, even with these world events, there's something about the creative aspect of life happening, and how instead of being afraid, and that's just the word that's coming to mind now, you might not be afraid, you might feel anxious or overwhelmed or feeling like you're too overloaded in your own life to have the bandwidth for, to know what's going, you're too overwhelmed, whatever it is. How can we turn that energy around and stay in a place of being interested, fascinated, curious, stay in our wonderment? Carolyn Mace, she will be the first one to say, if people like us, those of us sensitives, we're interested in healing, we're, on this journey together, if people like us can't handle the news, can't stomach what's going on in the world, then who, So if you're somebody that is, you ride that line, like you don't want to know, but you want to know, but also, if you watch, it takes you down. Think about what you can do to build some resiliency and challenge some of your own philosophies about what's going to happen to you if you watch the news. You're much more in control of your power than you know. And certainly there are charismatic types on TV and on the radio and in power. Certainly that is the case. But you have free will and you come from the light. So do we all. So just kind of keep that in mind and think about what you want to do to inspire yourself. What would you love to do? What would feel so exciting? I was talking a little while back about Abraham Hicks saying, get on your high-flying disc in the morning, or I talk about hugging yourself, coming to the side of the bed and really tuning your vibes before you do anything. What would make you feel excited? That's like within the parameters of what's actually happening in your life. I can't stand it when people say $20 million. Like, don't pick something that's ridiculous, that you don't even believe could happen to you. I'm talking about what would be fun and doable and right now fun for you. Do that. More of that. Maybe you do, see what comes. I mean, I'm making sourdough bread right now. I'm in the middle of learning a little bit more about tarot right now and doing a little reading for myself. So fun. I rearranged some furniture around this place, moving things from room to room, realizing, like your living room furniture, if you're not really using it and you love some of it, why not move it to a room you are using all the time? So much fun. I feel it's our duty, in a way, to our own hearts to stay excited, to stay in the flow. And even now, despite this pandemic, despite the uncertainty, despite the politics, and what's happening for you personally that might be upsetting, or the people in your life, we can do this. We can be the light for ourselves, and not 24/7. It's not realistic, and it's not necessary. You don't have to be that all the time. I find when I dip, when I dip down, that's when the practice really reminds itself to me pretty effortlessly. This is not how I want it to be. This is not what I would choose. That comes right out of the Course in Miracles. So whoever needed to hear that today, I hope this helped you. Yeah, cheers. And all of these cool things I mentioned will be in the show notes. I'll even put my sourdough stuff there if you'd like to learn a little bit about stuff like that. I'll put some links in the show notes if you just go to the website, robinhallett.com/120. Yeah. So friends, this is the part of the show where I love to ask you to support this light. Share it on. Do you have a friend that could use some upliftment? Do you know somebody who might need these very words today? I would love it if you would share this on, share it with a friend, share it in your Instagram stories, or post it somewhere. Help somebody else find what they're already seeking for, but might not know who or where it is. And I thank you so much for that. And always a review. I welcome your reviews. It's pretty easy to do if you're listening on a phone, on the app you're on. It really helps in terms of what gets served up to people. If there are more reviews, it helps that podcast be served up to more people. So I appreciate that so much, and always a donation. Thank you so much. I was really surprised, delighted, I should say, that so many of you sent donations for Christmas. I was really touched. I hadn't expected that, and really, really cool. Cheers. So this week's letter is one I have a feeling a lot of us are going to relate to. In our families, in our circles, we're married to people, we're dating people, and lots of us share views. We have views in common, and lots of us have differing views, different opinions. So how do we do that? How do we navigate that? How do we work that out? Let's dive in. Hi, Robin. I'm wondering if you would share a little about navigating differences of opinion with family. Maybe some philosophy in this time of COVID would be helpful too. I care about causes, and my husband and much of my family is not there. Not in that philosophy. Also, traveling, not practicing social distancing, etc. Could you talk about finding the common ground and how? This is a big question here. How do we find peace when those around us seem to be causing our disturbance? Ooh, that was kind of well said there. Thanks so much. This was a message I got on Instagram. Well, it's a very interesting time, isn't it? I mean, wow. It feels really important that each of us know right now and always, like, what is our philosophy? What's our personal philosophy? And where do we stand? And, everybody gets one vote. I always say this to myself. We all get one vote. And it's very important, I find, now this is my philosophy, that we work towards honoring the light in all beings, even when we don't agree. And so that's my practice. That's my biggest practice. The world is really a dualistic, energetic, duality place. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm good, so you're bad. You're good, then I must be bad. You're beautiful, I must be ugly. You're smart, I must be dumb. Duality is something I wish we were taught in school. Like, duality is a thing, and this is what it means. And when you're not practicing seeing the light in all beings, and I'm sure there's a very down-to-earth way you could say that. I don't know what it is, but, when you practice seeing God in all, that's really where the peace comes in. When you can understand there's a gap in everybody. Everybody has a gap somewhere. I have massive gaps of understanding, of knowing, of insecurity. And when it comes to other people, in my family, we're probably very divided as well in terms of how we all voted and what we know and believe, and even like how we're handling COVID. Wow, that's really, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but yeah, we're really down the middle. We're not all anything. And that feels kind of okay to me, kind of good to me. I think where we get into trouble is when one of us can't rest until the other one agrees with us. One of us can't relax if the other person believes differently than we do. And, there's a gajillion reasons that we get like that. It comes down to personal energies, personal history, personal vibes you need to sit with. If anybody resonates with that, I know a lot of people I help in healing sessions talk to me about this, how triggered they are when other people aren't voting the way they do, or they don't wear their mask, or they wear their mask incorrectly, or they're traveling too much, or they're out and about. We all hear these stories. Beside the obvious, like you don't want anyone to get hurt and you don't want to be hurt, if you're unable to rest and relax and you're so agitated, it's a great thing to sit with. Why am I so disturbed by this other person who's totally free and allowed to have a vote just like me, and free thinking and free will? I guess a lot of us have this thing where we don't know how to set a boundary. We don't know how to get off the phone with somebody who wants to talk to us about things, or we live with someone who wants to talk about things. And that's where it's really important to begin to figure out, how are you going to handle this? I don't feel there's anything wrong with setting a boundary, with saying, even to your beloved, I really how about this? I really don't know what we do about our differences, our political differences, or I don't know if anybody is still arguing over whether or not to wear a mask in public, but I know that was really, really big many months into our pandemic. Can we have a discussion and can we work something out? You know, if you guys are together, this should be something you can do. And I know not everybody can, but you're in charge of your boundaries. And so it's just not good if any of us goes away complaining about someone else and sort of blaming them for ruining the quality of our day or the quality of our life and health. Obviously, I'm not talking about relationships that are abusive, you know, not at all. I'm talking about us on the journey, practicing here, you know. It's up to us to set that boundary. It's up to us to speak our truth, but it's also up to us to see the light in everyone, to see the light in all. And there are just as many people who support the opposite view of you, who are scared and freaked out that you didn't vote the way they did, you know? And I think it's a beautiful thing to consider, to open your heart, to stay with that while you know what's true for you. I hope this is making sense. You know, that's my philosophy. That's how I've always rolled. That's how I feel I've always been spoken to by Spirit. That we have to, the light is in everyone. It's not just in a few of us. And if we can't see the light in someone, if we're calling them stupid or dumb or idiots, you know, I'm sorry to even say that here, but you know how it is. We're calling ourselves the same thing. We're holding ourselves to the same low frequency. It's like drinking the poison we're dishing out. So it's an important thing to sit with. I'm not saying everybody's right. I'm not saying everybody's wrong. I'm saying we have to come to our own philosophy and figure out how do we glide through the day with the greatest of ease. Just like that lady on the trapeze. We got to find our way to glide through our day. And if we find large chunks of the time where we're complaining about people, we're upset, we're annoyed, and like almost you could say it's so-and-so's fault that I'm not in a good place, there's some work to do there. There's some work to do there. Important work. Also, my dad's coming to mind. My dad was bipolar, and he would call me in his manic episodes and talk to me for about an hour, sometimes longer. Sometimes Jeff would get on the phone and talk to him because I couldn't. And then I had a healer for a while. I would talk to him about my dad and complain because, you know, at that point, I really didn't understand that I was free. I didn't feel free. I felt totally guilty and terribly limited in my possibility of what can I do. I felt so... It's not going to I have to talk to my dad every day. And the thing was, I would listen and become infuriated. I just felt so infuriated and so upset, and it would just disturb me to no end. So I know a lot of us have this going on with a family member especially. And the cycle for a lot of us is attack and defend. This is another beautiful teaching in A Course in Miracles. My dad was very provocative. He would attack. I don't really want to speak about this, about my dad, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not just talking about where we need to be tolerant and practice. Like, we all have a viewpoint. Can we practice that? I'm saying, like, if you're being attacked for your views, if you're being put down, if people are trying to trip you up, what do you do? You know? What do you do, friends? So here's the thing. My healer said to me, why don't you decide before you pick up the phone, how many minutes do you have today to dedicate to this person? Like, this is where I really began studying the Course in Miracles because I knew I had a problem. I was too scared to say no, but too angry to keep taking those calls, rock in a hard place. So he said, decide when the phone starts ringing, how many minutes do you have today? And start the conversation with that. And that's where I began. I would answer and I would say, hi, Dad, because I was happy to talk to him. It's true. I love my dad, and this is how he was. And I really wanted to love him where he was at to the best of my ability. And I'm just being really, really honest here. A lot of times my ability at that time was, God, I'm just tuning into that. I really struggled. So much love for you if this is your situation. I really struggled. I took a lot of insults at the time, and I thought, I don't know why I'm laughing, but I thought hanging in there was the right thing. And I'm still so grateful to learn how to limit my exposure while trying to keep my heart open and really wanting a connection with my dad. If you get it, you get it. If you've been there, you get it. Super challenging. I also felt bad because I knew I felt bad because he had a hard life and he didn't exactly have a smooth sailing relationship with most of our family. And all of that pressed heavy on my heart. So I kind of felt like it was giving him the max love I could give for the minimum amount of time. And yes, thank you, TJ Maxx. You get the max for the minimum at TJ Maxx. Give the maximum of my heart for the minimum of time I need to set. It's important. And we can all learn how to bear the guilt. The guilties, that's a contraption of the ego mind. You can learn to bear your guilt. You can. We are all stronger than we know, and we must do it. And something that's so interesting, when I used to do in-person sessions and I would sit with two people, like a couple or a mom and a child, or a dad and you know what I'm saying. It was so clear to me that the one who was kind of messy and all over the place and is, going on and on about all the things and was so offensive and annoying to the other people, they really wanted to know in their heart of hearts, they wanted to know what the ground rules were for a healthy relationship with this other person they desperately loved and wanted to be with. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when I say set a boundary, save a life, I'm saying you're helping the other person to feel like, oh, this is how we can have a smoother, easier, more loving connection. I see. I can't just blather on and on and on about my political beliefs and complain about social causes or in my dad's case, he just talked about himself nonstop and couldn't ask one question. That was always so challenging for me, and still a pattern I'm working on, which is great. It's all good. So I hope that helps you, my friend. And, take great comfort in knowing we are all unique beings. So who you are is exactly who you're meant to be. And learning to love the life you're in is totally where it's at. I'm going to have to look up which episode that was. It might be 117, where we talk about learn to love the life you're in, because that's really where it's at. Love the philosophy you have. Honor the way you are. And similarly, I feel it's so important to offer that to everybody else as well. And that doesn't mean you have to have them over or have a sleepover. Obviously now we have a lot more, it's a lot harder to do any of that, but you know what I'm saying? You don't have to be besties with people that are difficult for you. but you might want to examine why it's so disturbing. It's really important. So I hope that helps. And friends, I love to read your letters. You're always welcome to text me direct message me on Instagram. I'm at Robin Hallett over there, or email me hello@robinhallett.com. Well, how do you think I did for my first time back? It's Sunday afternoon here. I think I'm going to go check on my sourdough. I'm right in the middle of the proofing stage on the bread. It smells really good, I can tell you that. I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to see you here next week or in a few minutes if you like to binge listen. This has been me, Robin, Heart Sparkler Hallett. Remember how amazing you are. Take good care of you this week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Life is very short, let's make the very most of it. You are a precious gem and I love you. Do 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 do. We are here to shine and shine bright. You are a gem and I love you. Do 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 do. Life is precious and you are a spark of the divine. So shine like you know it, rock it like you mean it, 'cause you really, really mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it. Don't let crispy people tell you that you aren't sparkly, 'cause you are, 'cause you are, 'cause you are. Thank you. I like that. I love it, honey. Thank you. Give me a kiss.